Hello friends, I wanted to take this quick video just to kind of show you another situation we'd like to improve on here on Sarpedon. As you can see, the lighting is somewhat dim. There's just not a whole lot of lighting. Here in the galley we probably have the best lighting, but it is under the cabinet only. So getting into the upper cabinets at night is a little dark, and cooking's not the, let me readjust this a little bit, there we go, that's more to what we're seeing. And cooking is not the brightest. I'm sure you could do it just fine. There's a nice bright light right over the fridge, which will make getting in the fridge and freezer easier. But here in the saloon we only have the one big light and a couple of these reading lamps that are very directional and not very bright. Then going back to the main cabin, the lights are all on. Kind of hard to tell. But there you go. So while I'm in between sanding here, one of my next little projects I'm going to work on when it's too hot outside or raining, or I need to get away from the sanding and the painting. Apologize a little bit for the video quality, and probably the audio may be a little bit echoey today, but we're having an issue with the mics, so we have to use the on-camera mic for this moment. We are up in the master cabin. As you can see, it's kind of dark. Here in the master cabin, we have just this one reading lamp you can see over my shoulder here. We have no way to charge phones, but we do have this beautiful hatch that will offer in a lot of natural light when the dinghy is not on top of it. A lot of the time though, the dinghy is going to be on top of it, and at night there's not a whole lot of light to let in. So we're going to work on getting this fixed. One of the things I want to do to fix it is a surprise for Amanda. So I apologize in advance if the video isn't quite as good, because I will be sort of doing the cameraman and the project work at the same time. So bear with me a little bit. But what we're going to do is we're going to replace this reading lamp with one that has a USB charger on it for charging devices directly, and then place another reading lamp right here, so that we each have our own reading lamp. And then we're going to hide some LEDs up in the ceiling panels. So I'm going to start by taking out the ceiling panels so that we can start putting in the LED strips. In order to do this, I am also going to need to run a junction box into the cabinet behind me, so that we have it on its own dedicated circuit, and all of the lights are fused right here in the master cabin. We're also going to be putting a fan right here. So one of the other things that we've noticed with Sarpedon is that there's just no fans, and we need that airflow. The hatches are great, but when you're stuck here in the yard, there isn't a whole lot of wind that can get to the boat. There's a lot of times when we might be offshore or in a marina or at anchor where we may be sheltered and not have a whole lot of wind available. So we want to have those fans to keep us cool, especially at night when we're sleeping. So I've gotten all of the major panels down. I do have one panel with the door ad, the air vent screwed into it. I don't want to mess with that. So I will just feed through the gap on this panel. And then we have the fan here, and then this is our branch circuit fuse block that's going to be going into the cabinet at the top. It is stifling hot, so I'm going to work on getting the fan installed first, even if it's just temporarily installed, just so that I have some airflow while I'm working. And then we'll work on getting the fuse block put in place. To install the fan, I first have to remove the mounting block here. So we just unscrew this retaining nut. And there we go. I just need to mount this onto the wall. So I'm going to go find an appropriate sized drill bit for these screws. Be right back. So Amanda and I already discussed fan placement here in the master cabin. So I'm going to go ahead and get this lined up. We're just going to switch over to our drill bit. Switch back to the screwdriver now that I've drilled the holes. As you can see, there's a gap here. So I just started that so I can kind of click it in place, and then we'll get the other screw set in. And the camera temperature is getting high, so we may lose video for a little bit. We'll be back with you in just a little bit. Okay. So these are ring terminals. I have already cut the wire and used the stripper. Now that the camera's finally cooled, we can get back in business. So we're going to place the 10 copper wire to the end there. And this is the blue, so we're going to use the blue crimp. Set it right in there. And then just ratchet down until it locks. And make a nice crimp. And we're going to do a pull test, and it's nice and tight. And repeat the same process here. Make sure it's nice and tight. Okay. Let's hope this heat gun doesn't warm things up too much. And we're just going to shrink the shrink wrap. Get all of the air out, and it's sealed completely against the wire. We'll see a little bit of glue come out the end, and we'll know we're good. Do the same thing for the red. I really like this diffuser. It allows me to get it on all sides at the same time. My old heat gun, I always had to be constantly turning it, and that meant it took forever because it was constantly cooling. Okay. That cool for just a moment. And then I like to put double wall heat sink tubing over the final assembly just to make sure it's good and watertight. Hopefully that will keep corrosion at bay just a little longer. This is double wall heat shrink tubing. So just bring that to the end there. And the same thing on the red. And I like to just bring it right to the ring. Not so much that it will interfere with the mating surface when you screw it down, but enough to make sure you get that little bit of seal over the very end of the blue heat shrink, because sometimes I find that doesn't seal quite as nice as this stuff does. And now we just shrink it down. With this stuff, I like to start in the middle a little bit and work my way down. It's nice and tight, and I can just see a little bit of glue right at the shrunk edge. And a nice seal going up the start of the wire. Anything we can do to keep that corrosion at bay. And there you can see just a little bit of clear glue sticking out right at the base there. And that'll keep the wire from having any water intrusion on the end there as long as possible. Okay, we're going to go do the red one while that cools. Even though the blue came out, you can see the glue has come out over top, and nice and sealed glue there as well. Let those calm down for just a minute. Now, the boat, of course, is a 12-volt environment, which means my natural electricity here is 12 volt. I don't need one of those blocks like you might use for your phone charger to switch over from your normal house voltage of 120 volt AC over to the USB DC direct current that comes off a battery. So in my 12 volt environment, I want to go directly from 12 volt into the controller. If you were doing this in your house, though, you would be using some sort of inverter box, like one of those power supplies where you plug into the wall and it has the box and then comes out 12 volt on the other side. In your RV or in your van or in your car, if you wanted to use these light strips and this controller, you could just go straight into the 12 volt as long as you have a 12 volt system. This input will take anything from 12 to 24 volt. So as long as you're within that range, it should work. Okay, let's calm down enough. I think we can connect them. Okay, so I'm going to open up the terminal blocks. Make sure everything's nice and open, which it is. And then we're going to put our positive. You want to make sure you're just up to the sheathing, but not clamping the sheathing in if you can avoid it. And then, of course, once it's nice and tight, as always, as the boat does move around, we want to make sure we get a good pull test on that, and it's in there solid. Make sure you don't have any stray wires. Clamp that down nice and tight. Okay. Now, a big thing when you do mount this, you want to make sure wherever you mount it, you have access to this button. This button and this light, this is how you program the controller to talk to the remote. It's also how you can manually control the lights if the remote should die. So you want to be able to see this button and this light so you can get the confirmation information. Okay, that's about all I can do with the heat right now. We are going to need to get a little cooler before we can go back in the V-berth and get this mounted up. Okay. All right, now at least. Okay. So you can see the minus here, that means the negative main in will come here, or main out will go there. The big plus sign here tells you your positive is going to connect here. Those will be coming through and connecting down. I have not brought those cables through yet. We're going to go ahead and get this switch wired in while we have access. Then all of these negative bus bar connectors will go back to this one, and then each individual positive fused connection gets power off of here. Okay. Now, first let's connect. Again, because we don't have any power to it, it won't make any difference. The order, we just want to make sure everything's nice and tight and in the position we want it in. Okay. We also need to make sure that there's room for the cover to go on after. So we're going to angle this input a little bit. Welcome back, friends. I am back here on a special nighttime edition, trying to get some of this lighting stuff and fan stuff dealt with up in the master cabin. I am back here at night, and as you can see, even with a lantern and the reading lamp and this really bright flashlight from DeWalt, it is super dark in here. Can't really even see me. So I'm going to capture as much as I can. I'm going to try and get some lights in here first, and then maybe some fans, and we'll see if we can get this going. Let's get into it. Okay, so I've made a couple adjustments. One, we brought the box fan in, and two, supporting the headlamp. So now we might be able to see what we're doing. Okay, so to wire the fan, I'm going to need to run cord from the fuse block up through that panel and into the far cabinet here. The fan cabling is going to be long enough to stretch across the top and into that cabinet, but we will need to extend it further to get all the way into the fuse block. Okay, for the next part, we need to take this fan cable and connect it into the extended cables. Now we'll make sure that this is watertight. This cable was flagged with a positive lag, and then this one has the dash in it, which lets you know it's negative. That's how this manufacturer does it. Now to keep everything watertight, we are also going to add some heat shrink protection after we merge the cables together. So first, let's prepare our cables. Nice clean cuts. And actually, I may go down just one size. Okay. So we're going to use these heat shrink connectors. There we go, nice and tight. That's what we want. We want to make sure that the wire gets all the way into this silver solder part of the joint. Okay. I like to start with the positive end, and unfortunately this is the part where I've only got one plug out here, so I'm going to have to turn off the fan and plug in the heat gun. Okay, we're going to And I'm going to do the same thing for the negative terminal. Okay, and once we're certain that it's all sealed up nice and tight, we are going to cover it with some color-coded heat shrink, just to give it an extra layer of protection. We'll start with the negative. And now I'd start using the middle so we get all the air gaps out. That way we don't accidentally end up trapping some humidity in there. And then we're going to do the same thing for the positive side. And one last thing I like to do, because I had to split that cable so much, so I want to bring some of this additional heat shrink all the way up to the end of that. We're just going to kind of reseal these wires together. Okay, we are almost to the point where we can get some power to this fan, which will be great because I am melting. Okay. So I have stretched out the cable length and figured out for the black I need it to be cut right here. I'm going to leave just a little bit of extra to prevent some chafe. So we're going to go ahead and strip that. And this time we'll be using a crimp-on connector. Test, nice. Okay. And for the red, we need to cut it right here. We're going to do the wire strip. And again, crimp-on connector. Oop, too big. I gotta make sure I get the small ring. fan off again. And back to the heat gun. Nice flash of color. Nice flash of color letting us know that the heat shrink has adhered to the wire. Turning the fan back on because, ooh, it heats up quick in here, especially with that heat gun. Okay, now I'm going to switch you guys back to inside so you can see what's going on. Okay, so we've got our initial fuse block set up. Now we need to get some power to it. So first we're going to remove this. I need the extension because I forgot how close those screws are. There you go. Previous owner was fond of these connection blocks. I'm not a fan. They're not ring grade, it appears. There's quite a bit of corrosion. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, so these are the lights that we are going to be installing, the reading lamps. They serve two purposes. One, most importantly, they give us each a reading light. But secondly, they also have a USB port for charging our devices. You'll see in a moment they're beautiful wood grain that glows very nicely. They have a blue ring around the button that works sort of as a night light before you turn the lamp on, and then they're touch dimmable as well. Obviously we're going to have to lengthen the cords because the cables that they come with are nowhere near long enough. So we'll work on getting those installed. Okay, so here's the situation update. Last night, the camera got a little squirrely and overheated and shut itself off while I was recording. So I did get the fan installed. However, it is not the speed at which I would really like, so I'm going to switch it out for one of the other fans in a little bit today. And we also got one of the lights installed. So here you can see our new lights. They do have a USB port on the side. It allows us to charge phones and other small devices. They are touch dimmable. Remember their brightness. And they do have a night light mode, which is just this little blue ring, which actually is brighter than I expected last night. So there are two of these going in. So this is the first one. But I will show you a little bit more about installing those when we install some in the saloon, where you have a little bit more space and a lot more coolness.
Am I going back here? Look at the fan, nice. Very cool, honey. Look, yay! That's amazing.
Should I turn yours on?
Should you turn mine on? It's okay, I can see.
Okay.
Very awesome. Yeah.
Looking good.
Oh my God! Is that in the ceiling? It's a party in here! That's amazing. Oh, so cool. I love it. Okay, I live in here now forever. And all the fans, oh my goodness. Oh, and the lights. Oh, it's amazing. And it's safe. Heat won't bother it. Like they won't get overheated and like fire hazard. Okay, awesome. Oh, this is the coolest bedroom. It's amazing. And then that'll go up there. Oh, it's gonna look so cool. It's gonna look so cool. Awesome. What's the black thing for? Is that the remote? You got a remote. It's a rainbow remote. Look, we have Pride lights. We have Pride lights up for Pride Month.
So you can do this to change it, or you can go red, green.
Ooh, Christmas town on the boat.
So we need to get into cabinets and stuff. It really makes it so much brighter.
So cool.
And then when we're sailing, and you want to keep your red light vision.
Yeah.
Just turn it red. Just turn it.
Oh my goodness. What perfect reading lights too. Awesome.
That's what you're doing.
This is amazing. I like how where they are like placed too, because that like doesn't, you know what I mean?
And of course,
like
USB charger.
Because you can like sit up with it like bonking your head. That and you with the pillow, you might be out a little bit more. So that's great.
And I sat right here. I sit right here, and there's plenty of room for you right there if you want.
So mine's up a little higher than yours. Is that okay?
It is.
Okay.
That's just where the mount was.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I love it. It's amazing.
Are you excited?
I am so excited. So cool.